You ever notice? You ever notice how life has this rhythm, like a song that don't always make sense, but somehow it plays just right. There's the calm, the calm before the storm, the quiet moments, the easy days, the times when everything feels like it's clicking. You sit back, watch your kids laughing in the living room, your wife humming in the kitchen, and for a second, you think, yeah, this is it. This is that good stuff. And then boom, the storm hits. The baby's crying, the teenager's got an attitude, the bills are due, and somehow you step on a Lego again. Work is piling up. Sleep is a rumor, and patience, man, patience is tested like it's got something to prove, and in the middle of it all, you wonder if you're still getting any of it right. But then comes the calm after the storm, the moment when the dust settles, when your kid says, thanks, Dad. When your wife leans on you and you realize she still sees you as her rock. When you sit in the silence of night, exhausted, but grateful. Knowing that every storm you faced, every mess you've cleaned, every lesson you've tried to teach, and it all matters. See, life ain't about just chasing peace or dodging the chaos. It's about learning to dance in the middle of it all. It's about knowing that both the storm and the stillness have a place. And as a dad, as a man, you start to love the journey for what it is. Not perfect, not predictable, but it's yours. And that's the beauty of it all. That's what I like to call chaotic bliss. Never shy from the chaos, the memories of bliss. The problem is we must endure the chaos to see that bliss. And as a dad, I've uncovered countless levels of strength, resilience I never even knew I possessed. Every moment of doubt or frustration has been an opportunity to grow, to become a better version of myself. Now, this is not a pedestal. Don't get me wrong. I've had many moments where doubt and frustration have won the battle in the moment, yet recognizing those moments and continuing to get up again and again is the only way my children will win. I believe that as a dad, how we weather the storms becomes the very fabric for the proverbial raincoat our kids one day will wear as adults, dealing with their own storms. Even if I never conquer all my demons or suffer damage through the storms, the victory is in the lessons my children learn, the lessons of never giving up and continuing to climb, even if you have to start over and over again. In the end, they win. Or they lose. Because they're always watching. And I think as a dad, that's a weight we all carry, that burden to have to always perform when we don't want to. Show up when we barely have the energy to. Be present and strong when we may feel weak or even invisible. They are always watching. And we are always thinking as dad, just be dad. Be strong. Super dad. You got this. Whatever it takes, we get through. We find a way to get through. Though there are many lessons and blessings in the storm, it is always the calm after the storm that has taught me to appreciate the simple joys of life. A child's laughter, a heartfelt hug, a small hand reaching out to hold mine. The moments that are often taken for granted. The memories that also often haunts me. How will they remember me? How do the bad moments impact their life? And am I creating enough good moments to balance it out just right, or tip the scale a bit towards more good than bad? When I think about it, slow down a bit and put myself back in the position of son, reflecting on my own dad's approach to his chaos and our chaos as a family, I'm reminded of the small moments of bliss that have formed somewhat of a tapestry of moments to lean on whenever I'm in the thick of the chaos, the winds, the storms, the sky is falling. when the calm sets in, I'm reminded of the simplicity of making the best of every moment and letting the memories handle themselves, like car rides from here to there, or the simplicity of making an ice cream trip. The crazy thing is, you never know the impact or the memories you will create when you're actually making them, when you're in that moment. For me, I don't know if any of you have heard Eddie Murphy's Delirious. It's a special that's a classic in some homes and minds. I remember the first time I heard it, and it wasn't by accident. Yet, what was not planned or anticipated was the lasting effect the joke about ice cream would have on a kid all the way into adult life and his own dad journey. On any given weekend, in my early childhood, Saturdays would often include a drive up 5 North. My mom, me, and my brother. The destination wasn't Knott's Berry Farm, Disneyland, or even Universal Studios. It was always a stop at a gas station in Mission Viejo, right off of Avery Parkway. And every time we pulled into the gas station, there was always this somber, empty stomach, eerie feeling we couldn't shake. As my mother would put the car in park, take a deep breath, there was a small silent pause as we both looked at our mother, my brother and I, not knowing what she was thinking, wondering why we have to do this and will it ever stop. She would always, before we get out, always say, "Remember who you are, may God dispatch angels around you and keep your mind safe," and a whole bunch of different things, and paranoid, but apprehension in her voice every single time. And me and my brother would always listen every single time with water in our eyes, waiting for our mother to reach for the door. We all grab our door handles almost simultaneously, opening our doors as if it's scripted in a movie or something. But in a way, it kind of is, because we've been here before. This is nothing new to us. We know the deal. It's the drop off, if you will. My dad's turn to have us for the weekend. Yet, remember in that story, there are certain moments in life that stick with you forever. And those first time experiences that they somewhat shape how you see the world. And for many, and especially those of us who heard it young, Delirious, getting back to what I was saying at the beginning, 80s babies hearing it in the 90s, maybe a little too young. Delirious was more than just a stand-up special. It was an initiation. My dad purposely put it on. See, after the whole drop-off thing, the mean stares, the small arguments, looking like 2 drug dealers exchanging duffel bags, my brother and I were in the back seat as always, but this time it was different. It was quiet, slightly awkward. We stared out the window and we just were riding en route to LA. Then without warning, my dad just presses play, and obviously this isn't the beginning of the joke, but a key thing that always reminds me of that moment and reminds me of the chaos of the Bliss is all you hear over the speakers is, "Ice cream! Ice cream! The ice cream man is coming! Ma, don't have some money!" One of the most legendary, hilarious moments in comedy, that whole ice cream bit by Eddie Murphy. Excuse me. He takes us back. He takes us back to childhood, back to that moment of pure, unfiltered joy when you heard that magical jingle coming down the block, and then suddenly every kid turns into an Olympic sprinter flying out of the house, begging their parents for loose change. But that's the brilliance of Eddie Murphy. He takes something so simple, so universal, and he makes it hilarious. We all remember that kid. Maybe we were that kid. And in Delirious, Eddie Murphy brought that moment to life in a way that's still funny decades later. Obviously, me and my brother in the backseat lost it. We were all cracking up. We listened to the whole thing. There's the barbecue bit, all that. That whole special is ridiculously funny. But for that ride and for those few minutes, we weren't just kids in the backseat. We were somewhat in on the joke. And that was the first time I realized that comedy wasn't just about being funny, but it was about timing. It was about delivery, and most of all, who you share it with. Today, it reminds me, and it remains somewhat of a pillar in my approach to the chaos of life, the roots to my life mantra, chaotic bliss. My dad, in that moment, didn't have the words to express the reasons for the chaos or even give us hope for it all to be normal. But what he did have was timing, delivery, and most of all, who to share it with. He created a moment of bliss that still shines in my mind today, the calm for the storm, influencing the belief that though there will be chaos, stand fast for the bliss. Because through chaos, there will be bliss. Thanks again for tuning in, too. I'm just here to be Dad. The show about everything all, nothing at all. Once again, I'm your host, Anthony Yan. Just a dad talking to dads and aspiring dads alike. Far from an expert, yet every dad has a story, and I'm simply just telling my story. Maybe your story, that dad's story. Over a mic. Once again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching, listening. And be sure to visit I'mJustHereToBeDad.com. That's I'mJustHereToBeDad.com. Because at the end of the day, at the end of it all, what really matters is, are you here to be? Because I'm just here to be. I'm just here to be dad.com. I'm just here to be dad. The show about everything or nothing at all. Because I'm just here to be. I'm just here to be. I'm just here to be. I'm just here to be dad.
Efendim, sık bir tadına. Ayar bir atay. Çiğ,